You don't necessarily have to be an artist to be creative. Creativity is how we solve problems, tell stories, and pick up new skills such as learning language. Now, creativity isn't just for people who would consider themselves the artistic type. The truth is, creativity is much more than just conjuring up a new idea from thin air. Everybody does it all the time. Whenever you're solving a problem, or whenever you're connecting ideas in your head, or connecting any two things really in your head, you're being creative. It's the act of joining dots. Everyone has creative potential in whatever they're doing, in whatever field. They just need to find a way to access it and find a way to realize that they were already doing it the whole time. You don't need to be the next composer, the next artist, the next writer, the next author to call yourself creative, because any joining of ideas, it doesn't have to be a brand new idea. Even connecting two ideas that already exist into a new thing is a creative act. Now, specifically, one thing that I enjoy a lot is language learning, and language learning in particular is much more creative than you would think. It's not just learning, it's not just a subject that you might have taken at school, it's not something you kind of have to figure out. It's very creative in the sense that it rewires your brain to see connections that other people miss. For example, in French, every noun has a gender, le ou la. And for example, la table. In English, there isn't any such linguistic structure, which in and of itself adds a completely new layer to expression in that language as opposed to in English. For example, just the idea that an object has a gender, to those who are English native speakers, it's not really fathomable that something expresses femininity or something expresses masculinity in just the word itself. And this in itself opens up so many avenues. I mean, for example, in music, the same French song translated into English has a completely different feel. Or the same Spanish song into English, or any romance language, to be honest, that is based around gender and other linguistic structures that English doesn't have. They all have different expression and a different tone that sometimes just can't be translated into other languages because it's unique to those who talk in that code. That's why those people who are bilingual, or they have succeeded in understanding this like nuance of expression, this is why they excel more at problem solving skills or being more adaptable, which studies have shown. Really, it's the sense that when you have so many more new connections that you can infuse into whatever you're doing, whether it's you're a mathematician or you're an artist or a writer, if you have more dots to join, there's more possibilities and you can be more versatile. Not only in the literal sense of the fact that you can speak another language, but you understand different ways of communication that sometimes if you were only to speak one, you're stuck in that lens. For me personally, learning French and really immersing in French gave me a new perspective on people, on cultures, and because of how I described that people that speak specific different languages think differently. They're just wired to think differently. Learning various ways of thinking in various languages allowed me to kind of see new things and see a new way of living and of seeing people. And it really allows you to create deeper cultural connections. And all of this ties back into what I was speaking about, creativity. Because essentially, more experience, more connections, and more varied perception leads to, different ideas and the ideas that you might not have thought of. Now, how did I go about doing it? It's kind of important to note that the traditional way that we learn languages, or the traditional way that language is introduced to us as kids, is not really aimed at creativity. To be honest, creativity is kind of stifled in a lot of education systems. And the traditional method often feels like a chore, and that's why you'll hear so many people, it's like, yeah, I learned it at school, probably forgot everything I know, And yeah, that's about it. I'm not trying it again because it's too difficult. I was obsessed with not resigning to that. I really wanted to find out the most natural way to learn it, and to find that out, you look at nature. And I looked at how babies learn languages, and how did I learn to speak my own native language? And that's through context. It's not through learning grammar or memorizing things that people tell you to memorize, because again, that's just one opinion of what the most important thing to know in that language is. But it's through context, and a very famous linguist called Stephen Krashen came up with the idea of comprehensible input, which I became very familiar with when I was learning French. And it's mainly about that the most important thing when you're learning a language is to take in as much of it as possible. That's why when people go to the country and they're immersed in it, they learn it way quicker, because that's all they hear, that's all they see. They have to communicate with people, but that's not always possible. Not everybody can afford to travel to their target country, or to, spend time there and just leave their lives in their current country. It's not possible for everyone. And it wasn't entirely possible for me. So I wanted to find out what's the best way that I could, even if I go there for a little bit, what's the best way that coming back home, I can carry this on, this system of immersion, or almost trick myself into that. Yeah, the comprehensible input concept is all about putting yourself and it taking in as much content, whether that's books, podcasts, reading, whatever, in the language, but at a level that you can understand. That's the most important thing, because when it's too hard, you don't understand anything and you give up. When it's too easy, you understand everything and you're not learning anything. So it's that sweet spot of, I understand the gist of this. There's some words in here that I'm not 100% familiar with, but through the context of the word and through the context of the sentence, I can join the dots. And this is where the creativity comes in and infer the meaning. And that's exactly what I did, and kind of put myself in this immersion chamber of everything just needs to be in French if I want to learn it properly, how a real native could speak. Because it's yes, I could learn it at school and do the tests and pass all the tests, whatnot, but I still wouldn't have been able to really go and feel like I'm in the culture, and go to France and feel like it's, okay, this is my place, or whatever other language I would have wanted to learn. The real turning point was, I remember I had a dream in French, and that was when I knew that this system must be working, because in the dream I was speaking. And then even when I woke up, what I was saying, I went to go and figure out if it was actually not gibberish, and it wasn't. It was real, and it felt like there was a barrier had been unlocked, and my brain was just doing it on its own, speaking. And it was that feeling that I was like, I know that's what I'm chasing. That's what I need to get to. When I get to that point, I know exactly that's what we call real fluency. So I kept on going. I kept on watching all the Netflix shows I could, reading all the books and series and podcasts. And I felt myself slowly making more direct concept to language connections without having to translate in my mind, which made the process of trying to express yourself much faster. It was a DIY kind of setup, which, I was using this app to do one certain task, which was for flashcards that I'd created, another app for trying to find content to read and listen to, and it was just all over the place. But I still got there. But then now that I'm trying to learn Spanish, I said to myself, I wish there was just one place that I could have this whole method and put it into one concentrated place. I'm the type of person where things are too scattered, it's just overwhelming. If there's one thing that I just know I have to do constantly, I'll keep going until it's there. And traditional apps that were too focused on the traditional learning method was just sad for me. And also trying to be creative in the language learning, and the actual use of why I want to learn it. It's not for passing tests. It's not specifically because I want to get a job that requires the language. It's I want it for the cultural, creative aspect of it, writing songs in the language, being able to speak to people and connect with people and the culture. So it needed to not be in that way. And it really unlocked a new level of creativity for me, to be honest. So I made my own tool. I made everything that I wished existed into one place, where this system that I had used to do French was going to work for me for Spanish. The main issue that I came across, and many other people who do comprehensible input, is finding the content that is at the required level. So it's not too hard and it's not too easy. So I made a tool that I can input any article, any book, anything, any transcript, and it will rewrite it in the language I'm trying to learn, only using words that I know already and adding a few more new ones in there. And I can tap on the new words and add them to flashcards. And then I test myself, rather than directly just trying to memorize the translation, using those words in sentences. So it just promotes me to, again, creatively introduce any language I'm trying to learn directly into my brain and give me new connections to play with. It's called Interlingo, and there's a lot of other stuff that I built around it. But it was mainly because, I wanted to learn Spanish now, and I wanted to do it the same way I did French so quickly. And I'm always up for ways that are gonna make things easier and faster for me. So I'm gonna put the link down below for anybody that wants to check it out. But yeah, the real importance and the reason why I'm saying it really unlocks creativity this way is the embracing of guesswork. And when we're creating, whether it's music or art or whatever, you don't know what works. That's the whole point. We figure it out as we go along. And that's the way that I believe languages should be learned and can supplement your creativity in this way. And yeah, language is not just about communication for me. For me, it's about opening creativity as well. The more that you can obtain in you, even if it's not every single one to complete fluency, the more that you can acquire the right way, the more of the world that you see, really. And it sounds deep, but it's actually that, For example, in the music industry, about half of it is completely inaccessible to English speakers because, the Latin music scene is so big, and if you don't get it, you just won't. And yes, you can listen to the music without having to understand the lyrics, but it's another level. Same for literature. So many books not translated, so many movies that aren't the same when it's dubbed, or when you're focusing on subtitles. So yeah, let me know what language you'd learn. If you could become fluent right now, what language would it be? Let me know in the comments. And also, let me know any other ways that you guys have been finding has increased your creativity or helped you find who you are, because it's always interesting to me to find it out. I just thought I'd make this video because I realized that's what it's about. The interest that I had in languages was for this reason. It's because it's so innately linked to music in a strong way that, I just thought, let me come on here and talk about it. Let me know if you've enjoyed it, and I'll be on here with more regular videos too, so stay tuned for everything coming. I've got more music coming. I've got the EP that is pretty much done. When I post this, it will probably be done. So that's coming very soon on the music side. But yeah, check it out and stay tuned for more.